The rise in property prices across the globe is making home ownership unaffordable. The crisis is now impacting young people. Many young people are facing difficulties climbing the property ladder.
Especially with the mortgage rates obviously coming up quite high, it is getting quite difficult. See, normally it requires 4.5 times of your salary to get a mortgage, and nowadays it requires 2 working adults to at least become eligible, even with the affordable schemes of a 5% deposit. Even then, it's, as I say, the prices don't match. I'll see what the salaries are. As I say, since the early 2000s, the price and the salaries have not caught up. If I'm correct, it's gone up by 15 times. And the salary, if I'm not correct, has only went up 5 times since the early 2000s.
The number of homelessness among young people has been steadily rising. In some countries, the situation is becoming a growing crisis. Most young people are waking up to the idea that owning a property is becoming a pipe dream. Across the globe, property prices increasing, stopping young people climbing the property ladder. In the UK, average earners need at least 9 years to be able to save to own a property. In this episode, we're going to explore the difficulties faced by young people and the solutions on how to overcome these difficulties. Over the years, the number of young people buying properties have dropped significantly. This is the result of high property prices, high transaction costs, and high deposits required in a mortgage application.
Is there a housing crisis in the UK? Absolutely, especially within London and major cities where there's a high demand. We can see especially there's a lot of people looking to obviously rent rooms because unfortunately there's just not enough flats or houses for them to obviously rent out. That's what I've seen, especially with HMOs, there's a huge increase. Unfortunately, due to government policy and EU regulations, lack of builders and obviously restrictions, we're not building enough houses. And it could be due to developers not working quick enough and the councils are not taking enough action. So we believe that there should be more government action to obviously build more houses and make it much more quicker. And as you say, there's just not enough. Conservatively, we believe we're a shortage of 1 million houses. Let me touch on the mortgage again. Obviously, if the Bank of England keeps on fiddling with the interest rates, obviously we can't obviously determine where we will be, but obviously it does have a knock-on effect. Obviously at the moment we are on an all-time high, which is obviously really putting a stress on first-time buyers and affordability on getting a mortgage. Yet again, I generally believe that the UK government should definitely help out with the 0% deposit scheme, as some banks are offering at the moment. Speaking of my local variety, the South East London area, especially Plumstead, we tend to get more tenants than buyers. Obviously the interest rates obviously coming up and down, quite fluctuating. The buying market is quite slow, but with the Elizabeth line, especially the rejuvenation, we're tending to see the prices increase, and as some would say, the area is being gentrified. So there is a positive and you could say in somewhat a negative, obviously, with the young people obviously trying to get into the housing market. In this local area, the houses conservatively are going for $500,000. And obviously, as demand increases, that will definitely reach an all-time high. In the past year, we've seen a 10% increase in the local area.
In the UK, property price depends on where you reside.
So traditionally in the south, that is where the most demand is, and that's where mostly retirees and people like to obviously live, especially within the London region. Obviously the weather is a lot better in the Devon and Canterbury area, especially in Kent. That traditionally that's where the most demand is, and it's a lot more for your square metre. See, especially with the limited space. As you go more north, especially above Milton Keynes, that price has become a lot more reasonable. Even then, within Wales, we're starting to see a demand and increase. So definitely we need to obviously match a surplus.
Mr. OK resides in Lagos in a rented accommodation with his family. He has been trying to climb the property ladder but has been unsuccessful.
And I've been trying so many ways to see how I can own my own apartments. I know that first of all, a lot of people may not even know about mortgages and all of that, but I was privileged to at least get to know about mortgage systems and all of that. And I've tried, to get into that ladder. But when you hear some amounts, first of all, when you hear the amount of the property itself, like a 2-bed, 3-bed, with the kind of family I have, I would rather prefer to have a 3-bed. Okay, so when you get a 3-bed, you're hearing 100 million, you're hearing 90 million, 120 million naira and all of that. So it's really, really difficult. So first of all, the amount, the affordability is hard. And then when you start talking about the process of getting the mortgage, you're hearing an interest rate of 18 to like 27%. It's scary. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, another thing I found out with the mortgage system is the down payment. So imagine I'm doing 100 million naira apartment, okay, and they're saying I should pay a down payment of 30%. I'm looking at 30 million naira, so that's really difficult.
In Spain, the youth are complaining that property prices are rising due to foreigners buying Spanish properties. The root cause. The plight of young people looking to buy a home of their own is all too glaring. But what are the root cause of this crisis?
Okay, so what are the causes for the housing crisis? Well, more or less the simple answer is there's just not enough stock to go around. And obviously to go in that to a deeper detail, we're just not developing enough. Obviously the land acquisition is becoming quite troublesome. Obviously building materials, especially with Brexit, and obviously the conflicts abroad are definitely being passed on to first-time buyers, especially with stamp duty. It's definitely obviously increased, and supply and demand is just not reaching obviously a sustainable level. So that's unfortunately, it's obviously being pushed on, and it's really increasing the prices, especially as we say, the demand is just so high, and there's just not enough developments at the moment to obviously meet demand. So at the moment, as I say, generally in any market, when there's such a high demand and short supply, there's going to be a huge inflation. The speed up planning permission is very archaic and outdated. It takes an average of 3 years in England to build a house. So the longer it takes the developers, the worse it becomes in the market for first-time buyers. And speaking of which, especially with the deposit schemes.
Housing shortage is not the only problem.
There is definitely serious housing crisis in Nigeria. Number one, the amount of money, the cost of the housing. The housing cost is off the charts, off the roof, right? It's very, very expensive. I'm giving you an example. I'm talking of 300, I'm talking of a 3-bedroom, right? And we're saying 100 million. So in certain places, there's even far more than that. It's far more than 100 million naira for a 2-bedroom, for a 3-bedroom apartment. So yes, number one, affordable housing. We don't have affordable housing. Number two, access to mortgage. It is high. The interest rate is high, very high. Secondly, the amount you need to deposit to be able to even start. So it's good that you can have a mortgage, but you need to put a down payment. So if you put a down payment of 30 million, for some people 20 million, even for some people 10 million, how much are a lot of people earning? One thing I can tell you for free is that the income earners in Nigeria, 60 to 70% of them earn far below a million naira. So how can they afford 100 million naira 3-bedroom apartment or even a 1-bedroom apartment? Some people are earning 80,000 naira monthly. Some people are earning less than that. So definitely income has a lot to play. The availability of the houses. I don't like to hear low-cost housing, because a lot of people will say, oh, let's build low-cost housing. The government will say, oh, let's build low-cost housing. No, let's build quality housing, but affordable housing. We don't have that. We don't have that.
Esther is a first-time buyer. She's in the process of purchasing her rented accommodation. She spoke about her difficulty raising a deposit.
So I'm currently renting. I'm renting a 2-bedroom house with a garden in southeast London. I absolutely like the location. There's loads of developments in the area, so I'm excited to be living in that area at the moment. So being a first-time buyer is an interesting experience. It can be nerve-wracking initially. Anything you do for the first time can be nerve-wracking, not sure what to expect. But I asked loads of questions from friends and family, people who've bought and purchased homes before. I did a lot of research online. I listened to a lot of other people's experiences. So it took me about a year or so before I was actually ready to get into the mindset that, okay, I'm going to commit to long-term purchasing the property, and then just kind of finding out all the details and everything that goes into the process.
The high cost of land acquisition and building materials, complex planning procedure, shortage of skilled labor, and high transaction costs all contribute to the crisis. Effect on young people. The limited access to home ownership is having adverse effect on young people. This is causing some young people becoming homeless because they cannot afford to buy or rent. Some young people are moving back to their parents' houses to live. Others are living in cramped conditions.
Right now, few of my friends are living together. So even with their wife, oh my goodness, even with their friends, they had to come together, right? So let me give you an example. There's a 3-bedroom apartment somewhere in the Agungi axis. 4 people had to come together to pay for that 3-bedroom apartment. So one person is living in the sitting room, and the rest are sharing the various rooms. So that is what I'm saying. And there are so many people that do that even for business. So now They break up a 2-bedroom, they break up a 4-bedroom. I saw it. They offered me, oh my goodness, they offered me a 4-bedroom. They said I was going to get a 2-bedroom in it. When I got there, I found out that some rooms were already taken in the 4-bedroom and they were carved out, tiny, tiny, tiny. So someone is living in the sitting, someone is close to the kitchen, someone is upstairs with family. With family. A lot of people are living like that right now. Do they want to? No, but they can't afford the accommodation. They can't.
Solutions. The difficulties of young people climbing the property ladder is clearly a serious problem. But what are the solutions?
So another solution, we've already touched upon it, is obviously legislation. Planning permission is very archaic and obviously very bureaucratical. So we need a quicker and speedier process. Obviously, if a developer is waiting 2 years, obviously it's just not working quick enough. And especially, we've already touched on this before, the deposit scheme. In my opinion, we should at least encourage a 0% deposit, at least for first-time buyers. As I say, it takes normally a first-time buyer 8 years to save a deposit. As I say, as we've seen with the market trend, if the prices are increasing, that is definitely going to put a strain for a first-time buyer to get onto the property ladder.
Apart from this, transaction costs should be reduced for buyers below the age of 35. This would make the process of buying properties affordable. Governments should embark on elaborate training to increase the pool of semi-skilled and skilled workers in the building trade. This would effectively reduce the cost of hiring, thereby reducing building costs. The savings can then be transferred to buyers. Developers should also be encouraged to build affordable homes.
Hey, solutions. What are the solutions? Oh my. Well, first and foremost for me, the first solution would be, again, affordable housing. Affordable housing, not low-cost housing. Affordable housing from government, affordable housing even from private sector will be very, very good. That would be a great solution. And it's easy. Government can provide land for the private sector to build affordable housing. Why would it be affordable at that point? Because they will not use the money, to buy land. They will use the money to build. So if government can provide land for certain credible, developers or people that build this house, the private sector, I'm sure it will go a long way. Then government also, they don't have to be the ones to build it anyway, because we've seen a lot of, projects they've done. So it is low cost, not affordable. So please, affordable housing, that definitely will go a long way. Second, I think making the mortgage system easy will go a long way, right? So number one, can they be flexible? Can they be flexible? Some people earn 80,000, some people earn 100,000, some people earn 1 million. Check those amounts and see how you can, be flexible. Let me speak for myself now. I don't earn monthly salary, right? So make room for entrepreneurs like me. Make room for us. We don't have to pay every month. We could do maybe 3 months, 6 months. The important thing is in that 6 months, we'll be able to pay up. In the 1 year, we'll be able to pay up. So we can do that 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, but we don't have to pay every single month. That will go a long way. Honestly, that will help. That will help me.
Imelda is a mortgage broker in Lagos. She suggests that first-time buyers should try and invest outside areas that are expensive.
I know that we have something in Ibadan, for instance, a 1-bedroom in Ibadan going for 12 million naira.
Okay.
Yes, we have 1-bedroom in Ibadan going for 12 million. Even in Shagamu, there are 1-bedrooms that are going for that amount. In Ekpe, there's 1-bedroom going for that amount. Yeah. So you don't have to buy it in main Lagos. If you must buy a property that you're living in as a first-time buyer, you go for what works for you. But if you're getting a 20 million naira property, for instance, your mortgage you should be able to pay, and if you're paying over 20 years, right? If you have an income of about 500,000
Right.
from your salary and maybe other sources of income comes up to about 500,000, you should be able to pay back, or you should be qualified to get a mortgage.
Brilliant.
The advice I'd give young people who are first-time buyers would definitely be to plan. Number one is to plan. Don't just jump into it. Plan way ahead of time and begin to save. Obviously, it's a financial commitment. So the more you save in a deposit, the less you need to borrow from the bank. So that while you're young, save your money, because property is an investment. So begin to save early. Number two, you actually don't need to buy in London. So look around, right? Look around. If you're not living in the capital, outside London, the cost of living is a lot lower and the cost of housings are a lot lower as well. So look up north, further south, and also make sure that your credit score is intact. This is a big part of what lenders will be looking at.
All of these would go a long way in mitigating the difficulties faced by young people in climbing the property ladder. The difficulties faced by young people when it comes to home ownership appears to be a global problem. And this is where the government comes in. Government should encourage young people to own properties. Able parents should also help young people climb the property ladder. A progressive society is one that looks after the vulnerable and the young. Well, we've now come to the end of this episode. If you've missed anything, you could check us out on our Facebook page, Instagram, or on our website. Details are scrolling below. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
The Okri Property Show. Property Show.
Brought to you by Menvo Homes Limited.
The Okri Property Show.